Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to give an overall update on this whole damn tariff situation regarding these ASICs and getting them into the US. There's been a ton of confusion recently with this reciprocal exemptions. People thinking that the ASICs are part of them. We'll talk as to why they think that. We'll look at the different rulings. We'll actually go on the CBP website and actually look at the guidance regarding it. And kind of what to expect here, which a lot of the stuff we talked about the last video is already happening. So we'll talk about that major update and how it's going to affect things. Okay, so if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So these damn tariffs essentially have been crazy. It has definitely put a huge damper on getting these ASICs into the US and a shitload of confusion, which is going to continue, right? And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about specific examples here, but let's focus on this. So shout out to Altair Tech. They posted this on the day when these exemptions were announced. A lot of people highlighted this post, this picture, regarding the exemption lists and the specific HS codes. Okay, and they also put a link to Bitmain's website over here regarding HS codes for different regions. And A471 being one of them, A471 being listed here for online miners. Okay, so this is where a lot of the confusion is. Okay, and we'll talk specifically as to why. Let's look this thing up. Okay, so number one, this is the guidance. This is that same picture that was up there listing all the different codes. So essentially A471 down to A542. Because they did do exemptions for certain electronics, certain semiconductors, chips, etc. And that was the assumption that it would be included. And let's look at the confusion with the Bitmain website here. Okay, so this picture here does show that it's from support.bitmain.com, which is their website. It does show the A471. Okay, so you would think, okay, we're good to go. Part of the confusion, not sure if this is on the country for us here in the US. The reason I'm saying that is going through their website, that HS code does pop up, A471, for a lot of the other countries. Okay, when you go through Bitmain support, shipping customs clearance, this is the area it takes you to. Okay, so as we look through a lot of these countries, they are listing that code, A47150, Kazakhstan, Armenia, Korea, etc., etc. When we go down to the US, it actually doesn't list the code, but when we dig in a little bit deeper, click on the other tabs where it says customs clearance policies of some countries. So this is more specific to us here in the US. And when we go down to the US, this is where it's different. For delivery to US, according to the New York ruling N297495, mining machine might be classified under 8543. Okay? So specifically, again, for us in the US, this is the code that they are going to use. This code is not on this exemption list. Okay. Now, you can actually look up the ruling regarding it. Okay, you can look up the initial ruling. This is the actual ruling here. If you go to, this is a CBP website. This is where you can find previous rulings and what they classify different things as. This one was specific to ASIC miners. Okay, so this one does go through the whole thing, but essentially the conclusion is that it's listing it as 8543. There was an updated, it seems like there was an appeal trying to protest it, and again, classification of Bitmain at miner S9 Bitcoin miner, and they came up to the same conclusion. Okay, I'll put links to these things in the description if you want to read through some of these, just because it is interesting, because it is giving the entire justification as to why. But at the end of the day, what we're concerned with is this. Okay, so according to this, it would be under 8543. Okay, so in that case, they would get tariffed. Okay, so the situation now arises is that every reseller does things slightly differently. Some will list it as different HS codes, different things, and the reality is that CBP half the time doesn't know what the fuck they're doing as far as classifying these things, and that's why a lot of times they do. They classify them as different things that have a certain tariff percentage, and that's what it is, right? Or on the other hand, a lot of people also do de minimis. If it meets that threshold being under $800, which is what a lot and the majority of resellers all do, then there are no tariffs, right? Which has pretty much been the name of the game prior to all of this. Okay. So that is one huge thing that is changing. Okay, essentially de minimis will be gone. So this loophole essentially will be fully gone. Okay, it hasn't taken effect yet. In reality, when this one does, this is going to be a massive, massive shit show. Because again, what this essentially is anything declared under $800 just goes right through. So this is going to take effect May 2nd at 12:01. Okay, here's the fact sheet. Following the Secretary of Commerce notification that adequate systems are in place to collect tariff revenue, President Trump is ending duty-free de minimis treatment for covered goods from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong starting May 2nd, 2025 at 12:01. Imported goods sent through means other than the International Postal Network that are valued at or under $800 and that would otherwise qualify for the de minimis exemption will be subject to all applicable duties, which shall be paid in accordance with the applicable entry and payment procedures. So this will include all the cheap crap that people buy on eBay, Amazon, Temu, etc., etc. So like what we mentioned in that other tariff video, they're not going to have the manpower to do this. Okay, it's going to create such a backlog because essentially they're going to need everybody's social to process these things in order to process for you to pay that tariff. It is going to create such a freaking backlog that you can't even believe. So all these things that, again, people purchased maybe, let's say, weeks ago that aren't going to ship until after that period are going to get stopped. So the little $20 Temu thing you purchased, you're going to have to create an account with either DHL, FedEx, whoever they go through, provide your social, provide all your info, essentially do KYC with them in order to be able to pay that tariff for all these little things. There's probably tens of thousands of these things that get ordered and processed through on a daily basis. Okay, they are struggling to keep up with what's going on right now. When this shit show happens, RIP to that whole system. Realistically, my expectation is that it's only going to be a percentage of them that actually get flagged because, again, they're not going to have the manpower to do this. And again, with CBP, it's not something, oh, well, they can hire more people. Their hiring and training process is anywhere from probably like 6 months to a year before a person, from the time they apply to the person that they're out in the field. It's not something they're going to do a flip the switch, especially for something that's likely to end here sometime in the next few months. Okay, so kind of what we talked about is going to happen. Already starting to happen. The reason we even did the video today was because this is a pretty big news update, and this is from Fortune. This came out yesterday, actually. DHL will now suspend consumer shipments from any origin that are over $800 because of a tariff-induced backlog at U.S. Customs. Again, they don't have the manpower to enforce these tariffs. Okay, especially right now, de minimis is still going on. Okay, so currently, as of now, if it's filed under de minimis, you're okay. Okay, so I haven't been able to get confirmation of how much this is going to affect people. If you are paying the full tariffs, if they're declaring it as something over $800, you're doing whatever, this is a possibility. Okay, and it's only going to get worse. So realistically right now, if you're buying through a reseller, if you're considering buying any ASIC that's going to be over $800 or that they don't do de minimis, you need to make sure you get a hold of that reseller before you purchase anything. Regardless of who you're purchasing through, email them, talk to them. Telegram typically is the preferred method of communication for the majority of the resellers. Talk to them, see what's going on. They're going to be able to give you the most up to date because, again, they all file these things completely differently. Okay, again, we've seen all the codes. We've seen how complex the system is. Hopefully, this will lead to them kind of redoing the entire system because it is pretty freaking ridiculous, right? Because a lot of the times, like we've mentioned, they don't know what the fuck they're doing anyway. I've had instances where even mine personally got tariffed on certain ASICs that should have never been tariffed to begin with, that legitimately were under the $800 threshold and still had to pay, right? Even after waiting like 4 or 5 hours on the freaking phone trying to get somebody, it's damn near impossible. and expect that to only escalate, right? This is prior to all this. And depending on where you're at, for example, me being down here in Florida, the Miami port is notorious for being a shit show. Okay, even prior to all this, I've had people have issues way before then with them. Okay, so only expect it to get worse. Just please make sure you factor that in if you're considering ordering anything. For me personally, any of the big boy ASICs, again, you have to have excellent communication with whoever you're going to purchase through. For any large ASICs, I would personally not be buying from most resellers unless they have access to US stock. Which one example is like what Altera Tech does, and this is a huge highlight and good move on them for actually having units in stock right now, right? So you can look at their website, see what they have, and actually get it if it's in their actual St. Louis location. Okay, so Altera only focuses on Bitcoin ASICs though. Okay, keep that in mind. One of the bigger resellers I have seen, and again, this is one I don't have I have nothing to do with them, never purchased from them actually, but they are one of the biggest resellers for ASICs. Okay, a lot of your favorite resellers also get theirs from Bitmars as well. Okay, they have an excellent relationship with all the manufacturers. They've been around a long time. I would feel confident ordering from them. Okay, so the reason we're mentioning them is because they actually do have US inventory. They have these 16.5 gigahash models, for example, with the L9 for USA spot, meaning they're already in the US and this is the spot price. Okay, so for me to order any big boys to avoid all the bullshit, I would only be ordering from this type of instance where they actually have inventory here in the US, at least until not only we have clarification, but until all this tariff bullshit is done, specifically with China, right? Which feels like it might be a while, right? Because in reality, there's still going to be confusion. Again, hopefully, maybe this does lead to them simplifying these HS codes, because it is ridiculously complex if you read through the different HS codes and what they entail. Like even looking at the ruling for these things, it is kind of interesting seeing how they're classifying it, but it's just extremely overly complicated when it shouldn't be, right? So maybe that'd be one of those things that they improve. That way we don't have to play all these bullshit games with de minimis and classifying as this and that and all the confusion there, where it could just be simplified. It could be whatever percentage and we're good to go, right? Because again, that's always been a thing, and that's always been why a lot of these resellers and such, their practices are a little bit on the shady side, you could argue, but again, they have to be able to play the game because there isn't really a specific classification for them. There's not a HS code for crypto miners, right? It's really needs to have its own code, right? So that would be nice if we can get full clarification on that, and just that way it's one less thing to worry. That way we could actually order these things and get these things confidently and knowing what to expect, right? But at the end of the day, guys, right now it is a complete shit show still. Anything under $800, again, with de minimis, you better get your order in before May 2nd, because after that, it is going to be a complete shit show. I would hope that they have some kind of deal in place, at least for these de minimis things, by then. I would be surprised if it does happen, because, again, it's going to create such a massive backlog, because all these little orders, all these people are going to have to KYC, essentially. They're going to have to create that account and then pay their tariff in order to get their thing. It's going to be such a massive backlog, right? So we'll see how this plays out. Hopefully we get a deal sometime soon, definitely before May 2nd. Again, if you're going to order anything, buy from any reseller, get a hold of them. Me personally, any big boy ASIC, I would be looking for something that has inventory in stock here in the US to avoid all the bullshit. Okay, but let me know in the comments, guys. What are you guys hearing? I know some of you guys have still been ordering and getting yours successfully. Let me know how that's been going. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys know more, right? If any of you guys have good hookups with your favorite reseller, how are they doing? What are they doing about this? Are they giving you guys any advisements? I know a lot of them just tend to run de minimis, so that's why we haven't seen a whole lot of change, right? A lot of them are still doing their thing and they're still getting through, especially on these like smaller onesie twosies orders. If you're ordering these things by the pallets, expect to get scrutinized, right? But currently with de minimis still in play, Things are still running somewhat smooth. Again, when de minimis goes out though, after May 2nd, hold off, right? Any pre-orders for like May, June, July, I would recommend holding off until we get clarity. But again, let me know in the comments, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I am out.